Hi everyone, welcome to Get Well with Dr. Shel. I am Dr. Drshelenalaljiaesthetics, better known as Dr. Shel, and I know as a board-certified OBGYN and a functional medicine expert, your health is unique and deeply personal. It is a combination of genetics, lifestyle, and environment. Know this, no matter what your starting point is, you are never powerless over your health. Being on a health journey is a marathon, not a sprint. This podcast is about walking you through many different perspectives on health conditions, symptoms, and solutions that can help you get from fatigued to fabulous. My mission has always been to offer my patients and community the best of mental, physical, and spiritual wellness. You can learn more about me and my wellness center and schedule your telehealth appointment at drshel.com. We can support you no matter where you are in the world. This podcast is a powerful and simple way to carry the wisdom of thought leaders from around the world in your pocket and continue to develop your own healing journey every single day. So let the journey begin. Welcome everyone to another episode of Navigating Life, which is a special series of stories and lessons inside the Get Well with Dr. Shel podcast. Today is so important. We are talking about gratitude. I'll cover what is gratitude, give you some important statistics, share my personal story, and offer 3 great takeaways to help you get on the right track. So let's start with, what is gratitude? The Latin root of the word gratitude is gratis or gratia, thankful, by favor. It's considered a state of mind, a spontaneous feeling, a strength of the heart. And as the great Roman philosopher Cicero once said, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. And you might think, can I hold feeling sad or struggling or angry in myself and still be grateful? And the truth of it is that you can. You can actually hold 2 things, very opposite things in some ways, together in your heart at the same time. You can be worried, but yet grateful. You can be struggling, yet grateful. You can be angry, yet grateful. It is possible, and it is in fact imperative that the emotion of gratefulness is there, overshadowing everything in our lives. Why? It's because when you have that feeling of gratitude, when you have that emotion, it is the most positive and the highest frequency emotion there is. You have all sort of heard me talk about how high frequency emotions are so important to our health and well-being. And I would have to tell you, there are several high frequency emotions. There is joy, there is love, there is laughter, there is peacefulness, there is a lot of things. But the highest is gratitude. And it's because in that moment or in that area, in that space that we carry in our heart, we truly feel like we can be okay because we do have things that we can be grateful for. It is going to be okay. Life is going to be okay. And why do we feel like life is going to be okay? Because it will be okay. And we just have to focus on what we do have rather than what we don't have or what we cannot control. The truth of the matter is, most of us don't have even a fraction of the control that we thought we did, or we continue to think we do. But that feeling of just being grateful for what we do have and the present moment is going to overshadow everything in our life in a positive light. It's going to brighten everything. It's like a rainbow that just brightens everything because you have it in your heart. So let's see why why it is so important, and what does the research actually tell us about gratitude? Well, studies range from the positive impact of gratitude on patients' recovery from an acute cardiac event to lessening of depressive symptoms, and then to overall improvements in mental and emotional well being. Here's what some of the research is revealing. Number one, gratitude yields improved heart health. Research out of Massachusetts General Hospital by Dr. Jeffrey Huffman suggests positive psychological states like optimism and gratitude may independently predict superior cardiovascular health. If you want a healthy heart, be grateful. And it's true. It's true, 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 because a lot of things that, weigh so heavy, and we talk about this weighs so heavy on my heart. Well, if you have gratitude, you're going to feel lighter and more uplifted. And this actually translates into cardiovascular health. The GRACE, which is the Gratitude Research in Acute Coronary Events project. There's an actual project that was done on gratitude research in acute coronary events, looks to determine whether optimism and gratitude are associated with physical activity and other critical outcomes in the 6 months following an acute coronary event, i.e., a heart attack. A 2015 study by the American Psychological Association found that patients who kept gratitude journals for 8 weeks showed tremendous reductions in the levels of several inflammatory biomarkers while they wrote. Why is inflammation so important to our health? We've talked about this in several of my podcasts, but just to recap, we in functional medicine believe that inflammation is the root cause of most chronic illnesses that we're seeing, including cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, autoimmune diseases. So inflammation can happen all over our body, whether it be in our gut, in our brain, in our joints, or any other part of our body, including heart, liver, etc. When inflammation occurs, it's a sign to our body that something is awry, and that inflammation can then yield a lot of different factors that occur that causes these illnesses to then show up, or causes symptoms to show up, such as fatigue, weight gain, hair loss, constipation, IBS, so many other things. Even when you look at brain conditions, neurological conditions such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, MS, we know that inflammation is a huge part of what might be causing this. So if you can write in a gratitude journal and you can lower your inflammation, well, that's a home run for everybody, isn't it? I'll come back to the gratitude journal because it's truly a very, very important thing to perhaps take away from this. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about how gratitude has been shown to improve resilience to trauma and greater mental well-being. A 2006 study published in Behavior Research and Therapy found that Vietnam War veterans with high levels of gratitude experienced lower rates of post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, we know that unfortunately, our wonderful vets go through so much trauma. And then PTSD, as most of you know, PTSD is something that is very common among veterans. And so being grateful can actually reduce the incidence of PTSD in not just veterans, but in also the general population. We have so many of us that have gone through traumatic situations, whether it be childhood trauma or relationship trauma or illness trauma, caregiving trauma, whatever it may be. And that trauma is very difficult to deal with and to resolve. But the way that we can move the needle ahead is gratitude. Statistics show improved mental health. Recently published, the Journal of Research in Personality examined gratitude and grit to confer resiliency to suicide by increasing the meaning of life, the meaning in life. So when you look at the stats that surround suicidal behaviors or suicidal ideations or actual suicides, when you look at people who are now turning to gratitude, you'll actually see a reduction because it will increase the ability to see the goodness in our life, to have meaning in our life, and to focus on the positive things in our life that we perhaps can control and let go of the things that we cannot control. Emotional well being is something else that really is important to all of us. And I talk about this all the time that when you have somebody who has disease, what it actually is dis-ease, right? Now, that dis-ease could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be psychological, it could be mental, it could be so many different things. So, emotional well being is really important to all of us. A 2007 study that was published in the Journal of Research and Personality found the relationship between gratitude and well being leads to lower stress and lower depression, and it leads to higher levels of social support. Again, it's about focusing on the right things and acknowledging that we have goodness that surrounds us all the time. It's a matter of focusing on it. Whatever you focus on becomes larger, becomes bigger. Whatever you focus on becomes your reality. Whatever you focus on is what's going to grow in your world. So if you focus on gratitude, if you focus on what is incredible in your life or what is something that you're just appreciative of. And it could be the food on our table. It could be our children. It could be our spouse or our partner. It could be that I have a roof over my head. It could be, oh my gosh, it's sunny outside. It could be, I had a great night of sleep. It could be anything, literally anything. But when you focus on being grateful for those things, be they small or big, it completely rewires your brain. Whatever is focused on gets rewired. And when it gets rewired in a way that is positive for you. In the words of Joe Dispenza, whatever fires together, wires together. So if these things are firing, the firing of gratitude, you're going to have neuronal wiring that is going to reconnect those feelings of optimism and positivity. And it's going to create a reality for you that is going to be this new, beautiful, wonderful reality. So that's really why it's very important from the mental health and the emotional well-being state. Gratitude also gives us improved overall health and well-being. In a 2003 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, they found participants who kept gratitude journals, they reported fewer health complaints. They spent more time exercising, and they complained of fewer symptoms of overall physical illness. So when you are thinking about things that are positive in your life, you're going to almost not feel like complaining because you're happy. You're just joyous and you feel just more enlightened and you feel lighter. You're not as heavy and you don't feel that burden quite as much. Let's talk about stress. Stress is something that's really important, and especially in today's day and age, with the pandemic, with all of these Mother Nature things that are happening. I'm in Texas. We just had some serious winter storms. There are so many different reasons that so many of us have so much stress in our lives. Well, gratitude has been proven to reduce stress. Results of a study on cultivating appreciation and other positive emotions showed lower levels of stress hormones. Stress hormones are known as cortisol. Most of you have heard of cortisol. It is made in our gland called the adrenal glands, which are two little glands that sit on top of our kidneys. Very important glands. I talk about those in a lot of my podcasts. But the study found a 23% reduction in cortisol and a 100% increase in DHE and DHEAS levels. These hormones really give you a lot more energy and muscle mass and improves your brain and your memory. And cortisol, of course, is the driver of a lot of illnesses eventually. When we are stressed, We go into what we call a very sympathetic state, a fight or flight state. It's essentially your body's feeling like it is in a state of running away from a tiger, or it's being burglarized, or it's being attacked. In that state, in that state, you cannot have your immune system working properly. You don't have your gut working properly. You don't have your hormones working properly. And so when that happens, ultimately it's going to lead to chronic diseases and conditions, not to mention it leading to insomnia, to weight gain, to fatigue, to being predisposed to different illnesses, as well as hair loss and constipation and IBS and Crohn's. So many things are associated with stress. So we want to do whatever we can to reduce the cortisol in our body and just balance it so that you have a really good adrenal curve. It's what we call, a circadian rhythm. You want to be in a normal circadian rhythm. So that's very important. If you're looking for something to reduce your stress, gratitude. Practice gratitude. The other thing that it does is it improves our quality of sleep. A 2009 study published in the Journal of Psychosomatic Research showed improved quality of sleep and longer sleep hours with the practice of gratitude. If you go to sleep at night and write down a few things that you're grateful for, I say 3 to 5 is a magic number that you're grateful for at night, it puts your neurotransmitters in a happy place and you sleep better. Your melatonin gets released better. You are going to reduce your cortisol hormone, which is going to allow you to sleep better. So you're going to get better sleep quality and longer sleep hours. So these are all very important things that gratitude does for your physical and for your mental and emotional health. Now, a lot of us are we're career people, we are in work environments, and you might ask, how does it help you in a day-to-day living situation? Well, gratitude has been shown to improve workplace results. I'll tell you how. A grateful leader yields more productive employees. So it's really important to have both a grateful leader and grateful employees. A study reported by Harvard Medical School and done by researchers at the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania found that grateful leaders motivated employees to become more productive. The study found that employees who were thanked by their managers and their supervisors made 50% more fundraising calls in a specific kind of business than their counterparts who hadn't heard the same token of appreciation. So gratitude yields results. That's not the only reason to be grateful, but it's very important to know that anyone who feels gratitude within or is the recipient of gratitude from outside really will function better. Research on gratitude and appreciation also demonstrated that when employees felt valued, they had higher job satisfaction. They engaged in productive relationships. They were motivated to do their best and work towards achieving the company's goals. So really, it's very important to have gratitude in a workplace. And I think it has to go both ways. Expressing gratitude to each other, whether it's your colleagues or your fellow employees, your bosses, your employers, or your employees, it's very important to have an environment that is filled with gratitude. But the research didn't stop there, and it certainly needed to be continued. In fact, additional research has branched out to other areas, including school curricula, to improve classroom culture and experience the benefits of gratitude. Most of our kids, and I have a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old, we have implemented the practice of gratitude from a young age with our children. A gratitude journal is something that we all keep as a family. And when you think about it, when they go to school, and if they're in a classroom setting, when you have all these students coming in with their frequencies really high and them feeling very grateful rather than complaining, it's going to improve the entire attitude of the classroom, of the school, of the curricula. It's going to just improve their entire stimulation and their ability to learn. Even so, there is, there exists just a gratitude gap, it seems. And it's tough to realize why there's this gratitude gap when I've just noted all these studies and told you all of these reasons why we should be grateful. In a 2012 National Gratitude Survey, which was commissioned by John Templeton Foundation, it showed that while 90% of respondents considered themselves grateful, only 52% of women and only 44% of men surveyed expressed gratitude on a regular basis. So think about that. You might think that you're a grateful person, but are you expressing gratitude? Are you expressing it to yourself? Are you expressing it to others? The same study discovered that people were less likely to express gratitude at work, yet eager for their boss to express gratitude for their work. And in return, the respondents indicated that they would feel better about themselves and work harder if gratitude was expressed by their employers and their bosses. So, what I'm here to say is we know there's so many studies that have been done on this, thankfully, because it's a very important concept. And if we know all the benefits of gratitude, we must not expect it just from the other people outside of us or surrounding us. We have to be the change that we want to see. And if we bring gratitude into our daily life, we can bring it to our environment, to our society, to our community, to our world. And it can be a much more grateful and happier world. Grateful people, we know this in science, we know this as a practitioner, we know this as a doctor treating patients on a day to day basis. I have seen personally that grateful people experience fewer aches and pains and report feeling healthier than other people. This was also according to a study published in 2012 in Personality magazine and Individual Differences. Writing in a gratitude journal improves sleep, according to a 2011 study, which was published in Applied Psychology, Health and Wellbeing. If you can just spend 15 minutes jotting down a few grateful sentiments before bed, like I said earlier, you will sleep better and longer. And we have nothing to lose. We have to try this. This is a habit that has helped me tremendously on my journey because my journey has been filled with challenges, as a lot of you might have as well. For me personally, it was truly a phase of just growth, a phase of going from one extreme to the other. And I'm not proud to say that there were times in my life, specifically in the last 4 years, and I've shared this journey with you before. If you've listened to some of my other podcasts, my sweet darling husband, Ayaz, we've been married for 22 years, and we have two beautiful children, 20 and 17. He was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis back in 2017. When he was diagnosed, it was a shock, and it was just like a bomb, a nuclear bomb hit our family. It was something that we were not expecting, not that anybody expects something like this to hit their family. But my husband was a just this piece of a healthy machinery, right? I mean, he would work out 5 days a week. He ate healthier than anybody I know, the most disciplined individual that I have ever met, with such great habits, such great skills, brilliant. He's a dentist, very successful. He's an entrepreneur. He's an amazing employer. He totally practiced gratitude with his team. His team loved him. He had over 100 employees. And he was not somebody that we thought or ever could have imagined would have such a devastating illness like ALS, or also called Lou Gehrig's disease. Lou Gehrig's disease is truly one of the most crushing diseases, in my opinion, because I've lived it firsthand. And it takes away everything from you. It takes away your ability to walk, to speak, to swallow, to eat, down to the ability to breathe so that you're completely dependent on other people and on machinery and technology. It's a tough way to live. It's a really tough way to live for the person going through it, as well as for the people who love them, for the caregivers who take care of them. So when our journey started in 2017, prior to that, and always my entire life, and my husband would always tell me this, that, oh my gosh, where do you get your optimism? Where do you get your glass half full? Wow. And that just was the person that I was. My glass was always full, always half full. I never saw what I didn't have. I always focused on what I did have. And it was just positivity. And that's how I lived my life. And then this happened. And yes, we were just absolutely crushed, but I went into my doctor mode and I went into my problem solving mode and my functional medicine mode. And I just started working on this. And I just started saying, you know what? It's great. It's great that, I'm a physician, I'm a functional medicine doctor. I can get to the root cause. It's great that I know so many people in the industry. We have such great connections. We have great resources, and we are going to be the vehicle of change in the world of ALS. So we took it upon ourselves and we were grateful. I was very grateful that we had everything that we had to be able to make a difference for my husband. And then what happened to us is we tried a lot of different things, and they were cutting edge, wonderful technology, wonderful supplements, wonderful interventions, and just sought out the best minds in the world to help us so that we can first help my husband and not stop there, help the rest of the ALS world with what we have learned. And that has become our mission. And we did that, but we kept getting let down. We kept getting disappointed because his progression, which was just like a bullet train, would not stop. In fact, when we went to a world-renowned center like Mayo Clinic, we were told that based on his decline, the rate of his decline, it was one of the fastest declines that they had seen, that he would probably need to make a decision of whether he needs to trach or he might not make it beyond 6 months. And that just hit us like a ton of bricks. And at that very moment, I must admit, I was not very grateful. I was not thinking, well, gosh, I'm so happy I have this and I have that. I was just in a dark, dark tunnel. And when you're in a dark, dark tunnel, it's very hard to be grateful. And I know that. I know that from personal experience. When you watch the love of your life go through this, and when you watch your kids watching their hero, their father, go through this, and their hearts are breaking and they have no idea how to deal with this pain, and your husband's body is breaking down and your heart is breaking, that's the time I was lost. And I didn't know how I was going to crawl out of this. And that darkness lasted a while. It was a very dark place, but it was a very, very difficult place because everything was on me. My shoulders had to carry everything. I had to be the mom, I had to be the dad, I had to be the doctor, I had to be the researcher, I had to be the CEO of his businesses, my practice, his practices, just everything that we have, everything was on me. And at that point, I couldn't see beyond the fog. I couldn't see beyond the darkness. I couldn't see beyond all of those dark clouds. And that went on for several months. And the person that got me out of that, I have to say, was one person who is the most positive, most grateful person I have ever known in my life. And that is my mother. My mother, anytime I would start going down, she would pull me up. Anytime I would go down this spiral of, oh my God, why me? Why us? Why is God doing this? Why is this happening? Oh my gosh, how could anything good come out of this? She would just be there to hold me and to keep telling me, he will survive this. He will come through. You will survive this. God is here. God is holding you. Don't give up faith. And I think for each one of us, we need that cheerleader. We need that person, especially if we're going through the darkest of the darkest times like I did. We need that person. So find your person. Find that person who is going to be there for you when at night, at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, when all you want to do is cry, all you want to do is just have a pity party, that person needs to be there and say, you know what? Your kids are amazing. You have amazing kids. You know what? IS is still with you. You know what? At least you know all these other doctors. You know what? At least you are a doctor. You need somebody to remind you that you still have so much to be grateful for. And trust me, this is coming from a woman, my mother, who lost her 25-year-old son, my brother, when she was less than my age. She lost him. He was killed, shot and killed in front of her own eyes. Her 25-year-old firstborn son was killed in front of her own eyes. And I can't even, and that's going to have to be another session, all the things that this woman went through. But all she thinks about is gratitude, faith, and optimism. And this is what got me through my toughest times. And I shifted. I completely shifted. And I shifted my entire energy into gratitude. I started a gratitude journal. And there were some days it was hard. It was hard because I wanted to have that pity party. But I made myself write down at least 3 things that I was grateful for. And it could have been anything big or small, but I made myself do it. And I would focus on that. And I would pray and I would focus. And I would focus on that positivity. And I would only think about what I can control. I stopped thinking about what I cannot control. My husband's health, I cannot control. I can do a lot for it, and I have. And trust me when I tell you, we are so blessed because it's almost 4 years later and he's still with us. Those words of you've got 6 months, they rang in my ear for a long time. But I focused on gratitude and I kept charging forward, kept looking for interventions, and I found several things that has allowed him to be here with us today. What got me through? Gratitude. What got me through? Faith. What got me through? Optimism. And when I lifted my frequency with that feeling of joy, gratitude, faith, peace, calm, I started seeing everything change. Everything around me was changing. The darkness was lifting. The clouds were going apart and I could see blue skies again. And this is what gratitude does for you. Is gratitude easy when you're in the dark hole? No, it's not. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It's not easy. But it is the light that you need in your heart to get you out of the dark places. And if you're not in a dark place, and if you're living your life like the rest of us, and you have those stressors, and you have the daily stressors of being a mother or a father or a daughter or a son or a caregiver or a child or a teenager or going to college, whoever you may be, whatever your stressors may be, when you practice gratitude and focus on what is right, what is going well, rather than focusing on what is not going well, that's when you shift your entire perspective, your mindset, and your energy. And your body all of a sudden starts feeling lighter. You start healing. You start feeling just more healthy. You start feeling happier. You start feeling more joyous. These are very, very important things to remember. I'll tell you that gratitude has really saved my life and the life of my family. A couple years into our journey of ALS, almost exactly 2 years into it, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I'd already had this journey of darkness and then the lightness and then all the spiritual growth that I had gone through. When I was diagnosed, not once did I have a pity party, not once. And it was refreshing to not sit there and say, oh my God, why do I now have breast cancer? Are you kidding me? I never said that. I said, okay, I have breast cancer and I will survive the breast cancer. And the cancer is here to teach me something. So, God, universe, I'm here to learn. Teach me what you want to teach me. And that was a very different approach than what had happened a year or two before when my family was diagnosed with ALS. So I'm here to say that once you recognize the joy of gratitude and the gift of gratitude, what happens then is you carry that gift for the rest of your life. And that gift helps you get through the most challenging times that you can ever imagine. With that, I want to leave you with 3 big takeaways. Takeaway number 1, begin and end your day in gratitude. It's very important, and this is something that I do myself. When I wake up in the morning, I have a morning routine, and I talk about it in my Self-Care Navigating Life podcast. But when I wake up in the morning, I first open my eyes, and I just generally look up. And I look up because it just feels right to me. And I fold my hands, and I recite the things that I'm very grateful for. And it's a very important thing for me because when I wake up, I want to set the tone of my day. And when I do that, it totally sets the tone of my day. I then will go into the rest of the things that I do, which includes meditation, which includes something for my body like stretching. It includes a little journaling. It includes a little reading. I call it my hour of power. But my hour of power, and I give myself an hour every morning. And if that means I have to wake up an hour earlier before anybody needs me, that's what I do. So my hour of power is super important to me. And I start that hour of power with gratitude. Takeaway number 2, focus on what is going right for you, not what is going wrong, because you will manifest the things that you focus on and you give energy to. Think about that. There is so much in this world and in our surroundings that we cannot control. And the illusion of control that a lot of us have had in our lives is just that. It's an illusion. We truly don't have control on what happens tomorrow. We don't even know if we're going to be here tomorrow. All we know is that we are here today and we are in this moment. And this moment needs to be a moment filled with gratitude. Takeaway number 3, surround yourself with other grateful-minded people. You are the company that you keep. It's like an author said, show me your 5 best friends and I will tell you who you are. If you surround yourself with negative-minded people who are always complaining, who are always focusing on what they do not have rather than what they do have, that is going to cause you to not be able to live in this high-frequency, positive-minded way. You want to manifest the best things in your life. Focus on those. If you focus on the best things in your life, there will become more of those best things in your life. You will become what you give energy to. And that is extremely, extremely important. There was a group that wrote about things that they were grateful for that had occurred during the week. There was a second group that wrote about daily irritations or things that had displeased them. And there was a third that wrote about events that had affected them, with no emphasis on them being positive or negative. After 10 weeks, those who wrote about gratitude were more optimistic and felt better about their lives and their environment. Surprisingly, they also tended to exercise more and had fewer visits to physicians. than those who focused on sources of aggravation and irritability. This is also true when you have couples working together. A study of couples found that individuals who took time to express gratitude for their partner not only felt more positive toward the other person, but also felt more positive and more comfortable expressing concerns about their relationship. Gratitude will help you. Gratitude will help your relationships. Gratitude will help your family. So when you ask yourself, how do I practice gratitude? I've given you three very important takeaways. Besides some of those, there are some great suggestions that I'm going to give that might be possible practice techniques for gratitude. You want to be as specific as you can in expressing gratitude. So, first thing you can do is keep a gratitude journal. We talked about that. If you're not the journaling type, write a list of all the things in your life that you're just grateful for. Make it a list form. If you don't want to write at all, record. Record the things that you're grateful for. And when you speak it, your brain feels it and recognizes it, and your neurotransmitters will respond to it. The next thing you can do is write a list of all the people in your life that you're grateful for. But don't stop there. Go to them and tell them when you see them. Write a letter of gratitude to them, deliver it to them, or read it to them. That is something that if you actually do that, and I challenge you this week, write one letter, it doesn't have to be long, to somebody that you're very grateful to and express to them what you're grateful for. You are going to absolutely make their week, but not only that, you are going to make your own week because the expression of gratitude has been shown to increase your happy hormones. The other thing you can do is just writing down three good things that went well in your day and why. Why were they good? Create visual reminders about the things and people in your life that you're grateful for. Pictures, notes, put them in your plane of sight, your mirror when you're getting dressed in the morning. Have some sticky notes, have some pictures, things that you're really grateful for. You know, if you've ever received a thank you note, you know how that feels, right? It feels amazing. Consider starting a wall of gratitude. A bulletin board will work to remind yourself of the good things that you do for others. Maybe get a gratitude buddy to help sustain your gratitude practice. There are so many ways of practicing gratitude that don't have to be complicated. They don't have to be hard. And I want to do a shout out one more time to those of you, and there are so many of us, right? Over 2 million families are suffering right now because they've lost a loved ones to this pandemic, myself included. Most of you know I lost my father um, not even 6 weeks ago. And he was my hero. He was everything to me. He taught me everything about who I am. He was my role model in so many different ways, my guide in so many different ways. And he's no longer in this earth. And when he passed, I once again thought I was going to go down into that dark rabbit hole. But I didn't. I didn't because I continued my gratitude practice. Even though I had lost him, I wrote down things I was grateful for that he had given me and my kids and my mother and all of our siblings. I focused on what I was grateful for about my father. So if you've lost somebody during this pandemic, or for any reason, or if you're grieving, or if you're caregiving for somebody who's not well, or somebody that you are just really feeling for, and if you're going through financial struggles, if you're going through work struggles or relationship struggles, you might think everything is so wrong in your life. But please try to focus on what is right in your life. We all have things that are right in our life. We just might not see it because the clouds are so heavy and they're so dark. So, in closing, in a world where negativity, where fear, skepticism are at an all-time high, there remains a human need, perhaps a demand, to count our blessings, to show gratitude to others, and to find meaning in our daily lives. God bless you. I'm grateful for each one of you. Thank you for listening today, and may this help you feel a little happier and more joyful and be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time for today's podcast with Get Well with Dr. Shel. I know that this conversation and education can help you to create your best life possible on every level. So definitely tune in to hear the newest expert and learn the latest protocols to support your best health journey. You can learn more about me and my wellness center at drshel.com, drshel.com, and I hope that you will make time to come visit us in the Houston area to take a deep dive on self-care. My team and I are completely devoted to helping you live a better life from this moment forward. The best days of your life are ahead of you, I promise. This podcast is a powerful and simple way to carry the wisdom of thought leaders from around the world in your pocket and continue to develop your own healing journey every single day. So let the journey begin.